Welcome to Show Me the Money Rugby League TV. Earlier on this week, the Super League Dream Team for 2022 was announced. It includes 6 debutants and a couple of surprising selections. We'll quickly go through the Betfred Super League Dream Team for 2022, and then we're going to throw it over to Jimmy, Joe and Craig and myself to discuss each player and potentially does he warrant being in there, and perhaps should somebody else have got the shirt? Okay, so here we go. Jai Field, Wigan Warriors, no real complaints. Bevan French, Wigan. Sean Kenny-Dowell, Huckiston Rovers. Tim Laffey, Salford. Ken Seo, Salford. Salford, of course, in the playoffs, a great season under Paul Rowley. Jack Wellesby, St Helens. Brodie Coff, Salford, a third player to feature for Salford. Alex Walmsley, St Helens. James Roby, St Helens. Mikołaj Alecki, Big Mick, the Polish Terminator, Leeds Rhinos. Chris McQueen, Huddersfield Giants. Liam Farrell, Wigan Warriors. And Morgan Knowles, St Helens. So there we go. 6 debutants named in the Super League Dream Team for 2022, while 5 players, they retain their places. Craig, you're shaking your head.
I've just seen some. I think Joe mentioned it before the show. Sorry, Mick, and I just need to get this one. Are we putting Wellesby at 6?
Correct.
So are we saying Wellesby at 6 has played better at half this year?
He's played a lot at half.
No, he's played probably 8-9 times, let's say. But we saying he's played better at half than the current number 7 for St Helens, who was probably going to be England.
That's what we're saying. Yeah,
they're
saying, picking Wellesby over Lomax.
Yeah.
No, that's ridiculous. We can't even. How can we start a debate? So they're saying, well, Wellesby's played half. He's a better half this year than what Lomax has been.
And over the 8 games over the course of the season.
That's the most ridiculous thing.
I think what we're saying is he's had such a great season. He deserves to be in the team, and because Jai Field is nailed on at fullback, where can we get him in? So we're putting him in at 6 because
he's playing in front of Johnny Lomax.
Yes,
that's ridiculous.
I agree. I'd have Lomax every time, but I'm just saying. I think
who's picked this, mate? Who picks this?
But what about
a panel?
You've got a panel of people.
Let me just get some names.
I know Leon Price is on the panel.
Right.
He's ex-winners, isn't it? Ex-winners.
Barry McDermott, he's on the panel.
Not an ex-winner.
So yeah, you've got people like Leon Price, Barry McDermott on the panel.
So he's players, to be fair. Then
yeah, former players.
Former
players.
That one straight away just sticks out as
I think it's a bit like
the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
But I think it's when we did the England team with some players like these, he's got to be in the England team, but where do you put him in? And I think Wellesby, I think most people would agree, he's had such a good year, he should probably be involved, but we can't put him at fullback. He's played a lot of games at half.
What about Callum Watkins?
Well, are we going to go through them all separately?
Yeah, we'll go through them all. Right. Fullback Jai Field. I don't think anybody on this panel is going to disagree with that.
No, not.
So we're not going to debate Jai Field a moment longer.
No,
even though you could make a very small argument for Wellesby, nobody's coming close to Jai Field. Locked in. Right, Bevan French.
No
again, nailed on.
Nah.
This is where it gets interesting. Let's do the 2 centres. Sean Kenny-Dowell and Tim Laffey. Kenny-Dowell at Huckiston Rovers had an injury at the start of the season. Joe's going to talk about that, and obviously Tim Laffey, again, another surprising inclusion. We know Salford have had a fantastic season. They play Huddersfield on Saturday at 1 o'clock on Channel 4 in the playoffs. Do or die for both the Giants and the Red Devils. But, there's 3 Salford players in there, and I guess that's a reflection of the season they've had. And let's not forget, they put 48 points on St Helens the other week. They absolutely murdered Castleford. Doesn't matter if
it's against the kids. Against that St Helens one, you can...
Castleford then.
That would Cass have got 5 injured. Except for a couple of players, Cass's top players are injured.
I'm normally anti-Salford here, and
I'm not against
Salford. I'm trying to big them up here,
but look, I'm more against.
I don't think that's your argument. I forgot. Don't mention individual teams' argument.
No, I'm just saying, Craig. We've got Sean Kenny-Dowell and Tim Laffey.
Yeah, I think Laffey's topped the offload chart, and he's had a great second half of the season.
But then, if we're using the argument of position, you can play. Oh, you've got to fit him in. The one, I think Salford's best player, apart Brodie's been good. I think along with Brodie, I'd put, as we've said before, Callum Watkins. How's Callum not made the team, but they've chucked other players in. If we're talking about positionless, which he can play at centre, so you can. It won't be a disaster if he played at centre on the dream team. So how has Callum not been in there? Possibly, maybe Salford fans will slaughter me now, but
I think
the second best player of the.
So I've not seen Salford a load, but you read a lot of the Salford fans' comments, and they talk about Dion Cross as being there, alongside Brody as being
again another
best player.
championship product who's gone from Widnes to Salford and really excelled. I love those sort of stories.
I've got the
shows the value of the championship.
I don't think Sean Kenny-Dowell should be in there, Mick.
Who would you replace Sean Kenny-Dowell with?
Positionless, obviously. If I'm going positionless, I'll have Callum miles over Sean Kenny-Dowell. Yeah, so I put Callum in. Obviously, there's others which we've just said there that I'm sure you'll bring up now. But I don't, in my opinion, I don't think Kenny-Dowell's been Super League Dream Team. Has he been an alright, good? I shouldn't say alright. Has he been a good player for Hull KR? Possibly the best player in a bad season. Yes, maybe, but I think arguably George King has been better than Sean.
Yeah, he's got that.
Kenny-Dowell. He got their play. Kenny-Dowell didn't win an award, I don't think. I know that sounds red. Did he? Did he? Oh, I apologise. Which one did he win?
He won the Players Player.
Oh, so the players. Well, if the players have voted, obviously, yeah. But I wouldn't put Kenny in the Super League Dream Team itself, which is obviously the top. Has he been good? Yes, but I don't think he's the Dream Team player.
Jimmy,
I'm gonna swap Sean Kenny-Dowell. I think he has had a very good year, and clearly the KR fans who see him all the time and players think the same. But I every time I see Latelli, I think he's been brilliant, and I'm sure the stats to back it. I'm just going off what I've seen, and I think so. Yeah, he's in for me at the expense of Kenny-Dowell, because again, I'm only going off what I've seen. Every time I've seen Lafay, he's been brilliant as well. So I can understand that selection. So yeah.
Well, like I say, the wingers, obviously Bevan French, 31 tries, Super League's leading try scorer. He is in. The other winger, Ken Seo, another Salford player. Any arguments, disagreements on Ken Seo's place?
Should we? I'll be the one to be the show me bias. I'll say after his performance on I would say the second worst team, but they've actually finished third to bottom now because of a great run. Maybe on the back of himself, I think Lewis Murphy's got to be considered in there. I think Ken's been all right. Mick, you've given me the eyes there, and you don't think he's anywhere near.
No. Listen, it's a bold call, and it's all about opinions. You know, you've got young Jack Wellesby in there, so why not have young Lewis Murphy? It would cap a fantastic season for what he's done.
For what he's done on the Trinity team, he's not single-handedly, but he's been one of the major excitements on that team. He's scored loads of he's scored plenty of tries. Well, not even Lewis Murphy. I think Ken Seo's a big call from Super League. I think Salford fan, obviously, as you see in the comments, and a lot feel like they get left out a lot, don't they? I think that's
second top try scorer, I see it.
Yeah,
26 tries.
Yeah, but on a good I don't know. I think he's
big meters, Sonny.
But can you chew that sausage sandwich away from Mike? Because I think Sam's just heard this.
I'll turn it down.
Listen, Mike, and by the way, sorry we keep bringing different bits of food here, so thank you to Maz. But hey, right, quick one. Kenny-Dowell, Bevan French, don't talk about it. Jai Fields, don't talk about it. Kenny-Dowell's definitely something we can, in my opinion.
Question mark.
I'm with Jimmy. I think if you speak to most of the players this year, Latelli gets mentioned as being unplayable. If you're throwing young players in, and based on stats, as Joe's threw Lewis Murphy, you couldn't say that without Corey Hall. No. I think he's averaged 140 something metres, he's averaged X amount of tackles, his assists are right up there with anybody. He's played 20, I think he's missed 2 games. Yeah.
And he's just won the Young Player of the Year at Wakey.
So you'd have to put both the lads in. I agree with Joe actually. I don't think it's a daft statement throwing Murphy in. I think his stats are up there with anything that's been done.
Especially
so we've got to talk about it. I'll be honest, I've not seen enough of Tim Li-Fi to make a comment. So I'm not going to make a comment. I've not watched enough. I've heard people talk about him, whether I saw him as that. I tell you what I think. If Harry Newman, Percival have obviously been injured for most of the year, they're probably what people at Toby King's and his work. You look at the.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm just equating his eyes and saying, look, if you look at it, the top centres in the comp haven't played consistently at the top level because of whatever reasons, which has left the door open for a Sean Kenny. By the way, who I can't speak highly enough, and I'll be honest on here. When I first saw the Sean Kenny signing, I was like, because here's a little one for you. I once talked about Brian Mack maybe 8 years ago when he asked me, they were looking for a centre, and I said, have you had a look at Sean Kenny Dowell? And it might have been at Warriors then. Don't know
Yeah,
when
New
it
Zealand
was.
Warriors,
Maybe
yeah.
Roosters, whatever. I said, I watch him, I really like the way he plays. So I've been an admirer. To come over when he did, with the legs he's got, he must be an incredible person. Because I honestly believe that his legs are nowhere near what they were, but he does play consistently at a high level, and the lads love him. The coaches love him. So my big, massive raps for Kenny Dowell. This might be a reward. Listen, when you listen to commentary on Super League, and I'm sorry about that, that's just... And I'm looking at what I've seen. Sky have names that they have to put in. You'll hear it, we all hear it. All my mates will sit with me go, how do they... Jake Connors one, Sam Tompkins another. It's not against the lads, they're just lads who... Kenny Dowell's one at Hull KR, he will get mentioned. He could do one thing at KR, Jez Litton could do 50. And you'll get more traction out with Kenny Dowell coming. Tompkins, you know, there is certain players who Sky, Jai Fields will be one. You know, we'll get told to mention him 15 times within that game. Do you get me?
Yeah.
You know, Kasabi, I think most teams have
One
that
player,
player
don't they, yeah.
who Sky write down, and it's... Would you call it lazy commentary? Is that what every commentator does? To get a bit of traction, they'll make the most of.
And to play devil's advocate, there might be an element of their wanting to help create these superstars, and I combine that with... I don't want to speak ill of a Sky commentary team, but let's keep it as simple as a little bit of laziness, that let's just bang this drum over and over again and ignore what's in front of you that on a more...
Well, they do. There's no doubt. That's not against the lads. That, you know, that I love them, but you know, against sometimes you do hear.
Yeah, it's
ridiculous.
It's
isn't it,
predictable.
sometimes?
It's predictable.
And you can watch
yes.
a game and you think, if you'd watched that with no commentary on,
Yeah.
got told to pick the players, you wouldn't say anything like what they do.
Correct.
You know, you'd historically. So, Mick, I'm not going to comment on Team Wi-Fi. Ken Seal's had a fabulous year.
Correct.
I'll be honest with you. Ash Hanley for me would be so unlucky. If there's a better winger than Ash Hanley this year, these who've chosen this are better men than me.
And Tommy Makinson's the massive one.
Tommy Makinson, again, he's proven.
He's
proven.
Lost his place, yeah.
If you look at them two, you'd say if you can get over them two, and if we're saying Ken Seo and Bevan on the wing, he's played about 8 at fullback, I think, and a bit at half or whatever. But if you're better than what I've seen of Ash, good on him. Better judges than me there, they've got it right. I'd have Ash Hanley right up there as being the best winger I've seen this year consecutive. Absolutely consistent.
He's topping meters in loads of the
You have to say it.
stats.
I can't see anybody even... You know, so
it's a great call, that, especially considering Leeds' first half of the season. He's not gonna. I mean, you could say they've picked the 2 top try scorers, you know, and there's obviously.
Well, you're not counting. What I'm saying is here, you've got Bevan in and Ken Seo. Are they better than Ryan Hall this year? Because I've watched Ryan Hall and he's unplayable. Ryan Hall's yardage is still ridiculous.
I don't think you can't. For me, Bevan is in 100%, and then you've got Ken Seo up against Tommy Mack. That would be, I'm sure most will say, is the big one. Yeah. I think Ash Hanley's a great call because if you take away the tries and you look at who Ash Hanley was shining in a really poor Leeds team and working his balls off week in week out and playing really well. If he'd scored more tries, you'd put him in. Wingers is about scoring tries. We've gone a bit simple. We're at top 3. Let's find.
I'm questioning you there. I think wingers.
I'm saying that's what they've done. I don't agree.
If this is judged on being a winger, the first compliment you need is a winger's yardage.
Yardage, yeah.
Ash Hanley would be number 1 or 2 in the Super League. Tommy Mack would be up there. Ryan Hall would be up there. I'll tell you now. Could you get the stats on yardage on the wingers?
I can get that up.
That'd be interesting here for having a proper debate, because for me, I would doubt that Ken, Seo and Bevan be interesting, because Bevan's not a yardage man, he's more of a free player.
But you've got to remember,
really interesting.
when Bevan makes a break down the wing, that counts.
Yardage,
it counts. So the stats are misleading anyway.
Yeah, but it'd be interesting just on that. Is if we get the stats, which back 5 have got the
most yardage?
Top meter maker, Ash Hanley's top.
There you go.
Still, and he's been top
and
all
I didn't
year.
know that. So
he's been top all year.
Yeah,
Dry Field second.
Yeah.
And Alfort's his third.
Yeah.
Lafay smashes the offloads, he's at 49, and then there's nothing but props below him.
And I think if you watch the Castleford-Salford game the other week, look, Paul Rowley's done with Salford, that offload game, it's very hard to play against him. Huddersfield-Salford should be a great game on Saturday.
And last one, Ash Hanley has topped the carries, so I think you made a great call there. If you take the tries out of it, Ash Hanley has been the best overall centre statistically.
Easily. You can watch him.
So Craig's making a point. Tim Lafayette.
Who would you swap him
Hanley
for, though? For Kensio?
Kensio.
Leave Bevan in there, or
would you take Lafayette?
I think you've got to leave Bevan with the amount. You've probably got to have the top try scorer. We've been simplistic about
it's not just about scoring tries, as Jimmy has said. But
be interesting if you ask Matty Pete that question. I reckon Matty Pete.
Liam Farrell's not been.
The other winger over there is Liam Marshall.
He'd
probably say, why has he not been unlucky? If you're going to do it as a proper winger and what you all bring to the game, Liam Marshall's probably got 20 plus tries, his yardage is massive, his defence is incredible, his effort levels are incredible. So I suppose I see a couple of these and I don't know if they're just fashionable labels, as in it's easy to say that. I've always thought that with Dream Team, I've always questioned it, but let's roll on. Mick, you've got...
Yeah, so we're now on to the halves. We've got Jack Wellesby at 6, Brodie Croft at 7. Just a quick one on that. You've already mentioned it, Jimmy, at the start. Jack Wellesby, a fantastic year. Obviously, with Jai Field at fullback, they've had to try and smuggle young Jack in. It's going to cause a bit of concentration.
Well, it's ridiculous.
But that's the point of the Dream Team. If you're going to be tough on each position, it should just be one player per position. That's why other sports have 2 or 3.
I'd rather have players in predominantly their natural position and none of this. Well, he's played well in this and he's played a couple at half. He's had a couple at centre. We'll try.
You've got to do Wellesby at half versus Jai at half, and who wins that battle, and whoever doesn't. Sorry for them, you've missed out.
Johnny Lomax in every stat, in every
in the fullback, he's naturally a fullback.
In every aspect of being a halfback, Johnny Lomax wins, hands down.
Yeah,
and he's probably the Danny Maguire who probably only made 1 or 2 Dream Teams. He's probably that player where the other players say, I didn't vote for him because he's that good.
Because he's nailed that.
And you feel bad for him. I'll speak to, Louis Dodds played half for 3/4 of the season, I think 16 games with Johnny. So I don't, it's an even more ridiculous stat in my eyes that the...
I think you'll play half.
No, I think honestly, have a look how many, I'm sure you'll see it's 15 games. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous statement.
Yeah, like I said, I think he's been one of the best players in the league this year, and they've tried to get him in the team somehow because he can't not pitch.
Which is horrendous.
Well, I agree. I think Brodie Croft and Johnny Lomax are as nailed on as anything could be.
And I've no criticism of Brodie Croft being in there because he has been a revelation, and as you say, the reason why Salford are where they are in the table.
But look,
I agree with you on Lomax and.
Not just Lomax.
Perhaps this is a question to ask you, Leon Prices and Barry McDermott.
I think Croft's up for debate. I'm not saying I don't think Croft's a nailed on. I'm not saying that's a bad choice.
That's nailed on for me.
You think Croft's nailed on?
Everybody's telling me all the clubs want him.
I think he's got.
Do you know? I'll give you a couple to debate who I've watched and who people say who you can throw in if it's purely Arsenal on the season. Jacob Miller's one of his best seasons, hence the move to Cass. So as a halfback, Jacob Miller, a lot of people have said very good this year. I'd say the whole halves of Luke and thing have not been where they should be. Mikey Lewis started off like an house on fire at OKR, but through injuries, through consistency, he's probably not had enough role or whatever. You look at, again, the form of the halves, there's probably only 4 you could pick from. That's not being disrespectful to the picking of it, but there's probably only 4 or 5 halves. Well, George Williams is flat. For me, he's been amazing at times, and then you'd let down. He's got his 16, 18 tries at half. You're like, oh my God! But then you look at him going,
too inconsistent.
What about Mitchell Pearce, who's gone under the radar?
Harry Smith's the one who's.
You could throw Harry in.
Yeah. You put Mitchell Pearce around.
Not for me.
He's up there in the.
No, the Leeds half has not played consistently at that level. Huddersfield's half's probably. Theo's been injured. Young Price has gone in and done a great job. Ollie Russell's done all right.
But there's not a standout.
So you're right.
Craig, we're talking not just about
athleticism. So the obvious choice would be Lomax. Would be Lomax, wouldn't it?
Well, especially considering, I think Lomax, who I think is, I've made it clear, I think he's the best since Danny Max. But Lomax has had to, with losing Dodsey, let's say for argument's sake, halfway through the season, what Lomax has had to take on and help Wellesby, I know a lot of people rate him extremely highly, I like him, to be able to do it, and still Saints continuing their season losing Dodsey, I think is an unbelievable effort. And if that's, Lomax is the man. I mean, Lola he is someone who's missed out because Jai Field's blown it. I mean, Lola he is probably going to be arguably the player who's had the best season who's not involved. That would be my argument for this team. Lola he is probably going to be at top 3 for Man of Steel with Brodie Croft and Jai Field, I think. And he's not got a look in.
There you go.
Forwards.
We know there's not a single Catalans player in there.
I know.
Because they've performed lower than we have the last few years. They're not looking at them. They're looking at Salford.
Fourth in the table.
You've had Sean Kenny Dowells, who's, if you're going off team, you can't talk about team. I think that's ridiculous because it's.
No, I'm telling you why I think. I'm not saying I agree, but I think because Catalans haven't performed and no one's really stood out. And Mitchell Pearce, I think, has had an all right year. He's done quite well. But
he's up there in Man of Steel.
Compare him to Brodie Croft. Not for me. Not for the year.
I don't know.
So we've definitely got myself, Jimmy, and Craig with Brodie. We've all got a question mark over Jack Wellesby, although we do agree.
Not Jack as a lad, we think he's amazing.
No, I agree. No,
Jack's on our bench as a.
I know, but Craig,
Jimmy's
I meant in terms of putting him in at number 6.
Yeah, I can't see how you can.
I've got Jack on my bench.
So we've done Jack Wellesby and Brodie Croft. We're now on to the forwards. Alex Worms is in there for the 3rd consecutive year. Mikael Iletsky, he's in there, his Dream Team debut. I think that has been coming, thoroughly deserved. I remember Mikael Iletsky when he broke onto the scene in 2017, when him, Jordan Lilly, Josh Jordan Roberts all come to Bradford. And
Cameron Smith.
Yeah, Cameron Smith, sorry, not Josh Jordan Roberts. And Mikael Iletsky, in a very, very tough championship, that was a real good grounding for him, and since then he has gone on and developed into the player. Personally, I'm not changing that.
What are they 2 starting props?
Yeah, I'm not changing it, Craig. I'm not changing it. I think Worms has got that consistency, the leadership, the skill. I can't see.
I'll be Mr. Controversial because it's fun.
Against.
Well, if you drop against Mick, I'm removing me from Scout.
No, I'm not. No, I wasn't going Mick because I think he's.
You're saying Alex?
Mick was superb against Cass, wasn't he?
Yeah, unbelievable.
I mean, the break, the offload. I mean, I'm sure he's not just been picked in there because of what's happened at Headingley. But look, I mean,
I think let's say we do. I think Mick's got a great point. Them 2 stick out a mile.
They do.
But we're going to throw some others in for the debate. So let's all throw one other person that we think for the debate for the people who are watching. So I'm gonna put it on you first, Mick. Throw one that you could think could challenge them.
Oh, dearie me.
Joe, because Mick's thinking.
As a prop, it's probably. Would you have even on the Saints team? Would you say what would Saints fans say of Matty Lees compared to Wormsley this year?
Wormsley.
Would they?
Wormsley, I can't check.
I think if Saints
I'm saying Matty Lee's not amazing. I'm saying Alex Wormsley would be the one.
I think that again when I've seen him, I think that pass has been brilliant. But as an impact player at times when I think he's added something else to Saints that they've needed, and it wouldn't surprise me if he has a big say in a big game coming, because I think he has got that impact and he can really bash through. Well, I'm going to go George King and put a bit of show me loyalty in there. I think Hull KR have just named him. He either got player at year or
he got player of the year.
Player, one of the 2.
Ches Litton, Kenny Dowell, and George got the awards.
Wow.
So I think if we're looking for someone who again, I bet Phil Clark hasn't mentioned George King's name once this year. But if we're looking for someone a little bit. If I'm, outside the box, because I'm with them too. But I think, George King, someone who goes under the radar and probably not massively appreciated by many.
I'll throw an outsider in who I got told about how well he were playing, and I'll be honest, I didn't really study it, and then I watched him last twice. Jack Ormrode's had a right year for Salford, and you'd think I'm mad there, and I'm not putting him in that league. I'm not, but I want to give the kid a mention. I want to give somebody a mention. I think Huddersfield Pack have stood up. I think they've had some great forwards this year who've stood up and played a lot of games. Chris Hill, you've got to say it. I thought it was I didn't see the signing of Chris Hill. I thought legs had gone. Chris Hill's been. I looked at the data, some stats, absolutely ridiculous. Right on the bang of when he played top England, right on that line. Backed up by young Oliver Wilson and Owen Trout, but I mean, just thinking, Chris Hill would have to get a mention in anybody's squads. And you look at the teams who are in the playoffs, so you've got to go a lot with who's been successful. Great shout on George. But you look at Salford, where they are, you look at Huddersfield, where they are. Catalan's forwards, again, Joe's trying to fit a Catalan's. Can we fit a Catalan's forward in? Can we get somebody a shout?
Gil Dudson.
Joe's throwing Gil Dudson in, but we're not saying...
Well, you'd have Cassiano on bench, wouldn't you? You just have to.
Cassiano.
You just have to have him on bench.
But I'm looking for consistency on the 30 games. You just can't...
I think they have been consistent, both Catalans props.
But these two I think Mick's nailed it.
Yeah, it's fatigue.
These two are your first 30 minutes of every game.
Exactly.
Every game this season.
Exactly.
They take it to everybody. They're playing long minutes. These, you're right, it's a standout job, isn't it? It's a complete now. Wigan. Can we throw anybody from Wigan, or you go, let's have a little look at where you are with this? And that's unbelievable. Wigan are best team this year, along with Saints, and you can't throw any props in from Wigan.
I think they're a pack, aren't they, more than the standout man. That's what.
Brad Singleton, you look at what they do. Like you said, they've got Liam Byrne.
And I think with Wigan as well, when you've got your Bevan French and your Jai Field lighting everything up, they're taking a hell of a lot of limelight, off of the other players as well.
I think Wigan are very good at having them all at this level.
Yes. Great shout, by the way, boys. You've got that one for me. Absolutely smack on.
This is an interesting one. 9, James Roby is in for the 7th time. First time back in the Dream Team since 2018. He's going to go again next year. Unbelievable.
One of my heroes, Mick. One of the greatest players to ever grace Super League era. Right up there with top 3 players I've ever seen. But I'm going to challenge this one.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw a couple of names in just to at least get a debate going. Mm-hmm. My first one I'll throw in is Jez Litton.
Yeah.
I'm massive on him. I have been all year. I think he's played every game apart from one. The lads say he plays busted, plays injured, plays me anything. He doesn't get the minutes Roby does, so he probably effectively on yards he can't get up there because he doesn't play 80 minutes or 70 minutes. Yeah. If Parcell weren't there, he could. In fact, I think somebody said 8 times this year he's played 6. He's played 6 when he's come from Hooker. He's played loose when he's come off. They've had him playing full. He's played everywhere. So I'm going to put Jez Litton right up there as a kid who I absolutely think can be talked about on that level. Hence why he got England Knights. Hence why he's probably the next one pushing. You've got to give Cruz Lehman a mention from early form. You've got to...
Well, I wanted him in our...
Well, in the first 16 games, Cruz was without doubt on fire. But he hasn't of late, whatever. That injury cost him. He looks a bit... He don't look as sharp. We can't put Paul McShane up there because his form's not been anywhere near of last year.
Sadly.
We've got to be honest. Mickey McCorum's come back to a bit of form, so we'll give a mention to Catalans there. Mickey has come back, without a doubt. He's played some real good rugby, toughest probably gone against Roby for 8 of them years. I mean, Mickey. Every time Roby's got picked, Mickey hadn't.
Surely it's got to be the Huddersfield.
Well, I was leaving that for last.
Oh, sorry, stole your limelight.
I'm kidding. Great comment. He would be he's got to be in the argument. Great. That's best comment today, Joe.
Danny Levi's
right. He's right. He was unbelievable every time we watched him.
But again, you go and speak to the Salford fans, and they're all saying
Andy Ackers.
Well,
I was going to say Andy Ackers. That wouldn't have been
Andy Ackers would be again. I haven't seen him loads. I'm very limited in this, but I'd have Roby, but Ackers would be the one knocking at the door for me, and for the season he's had.
I wonder.
I'm on the Huddersfield one. Joe's got the point for me.
I wonder if you ask Pricey and McDermott, because Roby's going again, and there's all that legacy around it.
Of course it is.
Does that give you?
I think that's not Sean Cadidal as well.
Does that give you a bit more in the dream team selection?
James, one of the names mentioned that is a thingy to say without a doubt. But guess what? He's earned the right.
Yeah.
He's earned the right. We all believe that he's earned the right to be talked about for the next 20 years on Sky. Yeah. We don't mind that. When they do that, take your hat off.
Yeah.
take your hat off and bow, because James Rugby, I never thought anybody be mentioning the same names as Kieran Cunningham.
I know.
Nobody. He was the
Biggest
best
Phil.
hook I've ever seen. I can remember Danny. I said to Danny once, hardest player to play against. Everyone said Kieran Cunningham unplayable. Roby's come along and topped him.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. So listen, on reputation, we'll go with that. We love it. But I'm going to throw Joe's in for me. I'm on the lad at Huddersfield. I think he's been absolutely sensational.
I think my argument would be it's Salford. I don't think they've done the best players, maybe because of positioning. Because I think Danny Lee and then Luke Yates. Luke Yates has been absolutely unbelievable.
It's hard because Jai Fields has been that outstanding. You can't go against him. I mean, Ryan Braley's had his best year. Me and Ryan were talking yesterday. It's best year of his life.
But because
he's on
Jai
fire.
Field has done what he's
Jai's
done.
just that good.
Yeah.
That you can't give any of them a mention.
Yeah, but why have you said that for Luke Yates?
Just to give Ryan a mention.
Back rowers.
And sorry, Saints fans might correct me, but I'm sure Roby played a good handful of games at half when they not lost
He did.
at it.
Yeah.
And
Which is why that Wellsbury thing's even more ridiculous.
But then I think that Saints' preparation leading up to the grand final, if you like, which for me could have started early in the season, them having to react to losing Dodds and probably make Roby play so many more minutes than they intended on because he had to play at half and stuff. Yeah. You know, it's going to be be interesting to see.
He's the man of steel. He is the decade of steel. He is
the decade of
you know, he is. There's no doubt. The man of
him.
steel should have been meant for one person.
Yeah.
Jimmy Roby is without doubt has to go in my OG list.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, back row forwards. Chris McQueen, Huddersfield Giants. Liam Farrell, Wigan. Obviously, Chris McQueen, he's no stranger. Liam Farrell, no stranger.
Well, I've got to leave you here, but it's easy for me because them last three, I picked up McQueen as my player at year when we did it last time.
And Morgan Knowles at loose forward.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Jimmy's just departed. He's got to do some deals at Championship and League One. We're now on to the final three. Liam Farrell, 4th consecutive year. Morgan Knowles, 4th consecutive year. Chris McQueen, he's new.
You said that again. You said Chris McQueen.
Chris McQueen.
Okay, now you cannot talk about pronunciation. You've not pronounced
Craig,
it right in your
again,
life.
Jimmy's closing argument what he thinks these three pick themselves. I think Chris McQueen, nobody in this room is going to disagree. I know you're going to put the two Wigan boys up, Farrell against Morgan Smithies potentially.
No, I'm easy. Me, I'm gonna. First of all, I'm taking Knowles out and putting Smithies at loose.
Wow.
Without doubt.
Wow.
I am not even going to negotiate this one, son. Wow. This lad is 20 years old. He's breaking every record of tackles, of minutes for a youngster his age. He's got nearly 100 Super League games. This kid will rewrite the history books if he carries on. And I watched the derby the other day in Mixed Saints v Wigan. Let me tell you who won that battle. Morgan Smithies. Watch it.
Correct.
Who won the battle?
I watched the game.
He absolutely.
Wigan were very impressive.
I've never seen a kid control ruck speed like him. And if you know your rugby, that's the most important thing. He is controlling, he's slowing the opposition down by what he does on the wrestle and the way he tackles. And he's fearsome. I love Morgan Knowles. We've talked about Morgan Knowles loads on this show. If I'm going to put Morgan Knowles in, it's as a back rower. Simply because I want to try and get him in there. I'll decide in a minute whether I think he's better than the back rowers I've got. But as a loose forward, I'm Morgan Smithies 100 this year 100%.
And I'll chuck another name in there. I'll put you, Luke Yates at Huddersfield. I know I said Huddersfield a lot, but I think they've, because of positions, I think Huddersfield's best. I think Luke Yates has been awesome. I think he could have been there.
Cam Smith's had his best year, Joe. This year's been Cam. It's started. If you want to play a bit of football and play it different, you throw a couple. I'm throwing some names in here, by the way, so people.
I think Cam on his day's been the best player in the league, but I think he has been a bit inconsistent this year. I think he still needs to just get that consistency. I think he's got the talent, and he will be the best.
You wanted to make the point. You wanted to make the point, Joe, when you're seeing players like Liam Farrell and Morgan Knowles, they're included for a 4th consecutive year. I don't want to be disrespectful to the panel, but what are you trying to say? You're trying to say that people are picking on past,
No,
gets
it's
a little
like
bit clouded.
I just think, it's just a strange. Yeah, it's a strange one. I think there's been some players that deserve to be in, and maybe like I said, I think just purely because of positions, there's not centre hasn't been a standout position in the league, so that gives a chance for two centres. Where, like, no offence, you see the names and you think, oh, legend, Sean Kenny, nothing again, absolute legend. But you think, oh, has he been the best centre? But then, to be fair, we went through him. There's not been loads of centres, so it's a bit where at loose forward. How many loose forwards has there been this year that have been unbelievable? There's been loads. I think most teams' best players nearly a loose forward or a fullback. So, like I said, Huddersfield, Tuilawea, and Sam Tompkins has been injured, but it's still
well, like you say, because of Jai Field,
certain positions
after what
have been
Tuilawea has had to do, and his positional change, you've got to, you know what.
Listen, listen. If we're going to go with that, I'm going to have. I think Chris McQueen has been very, very good.
Yeah, very difficult.
And it's great. It's a great pick as well because it's not the normal one. He's 34, 35. The one thing you could criticise here for our talent in our game is that we've got Sean Kenny Dow at 35, Ken Seo at 33.
Very old.
Chris McQueen, 35. We've gone for very old team, when they're not looking at the youngsters in this as much.
This might be the oldest dream team.
Yeah, and the back, I don't want my back five to
Alex
have.
Wormsley, Roby.
Yeah. So with one thing we can challenge is that stat. But if you look at dream team, let's be honest, unless you really stand out, the dream team should be the top teams this year because there's that much gap between. You look at Warrington not getting a player in.
Well,
but that's why, let's be honest, they've all got to look at the sense.
Warrington are the serial
Hull FC this year haven't got a player in. I love Jordan Lane. I think Jordan Lane's the most immense talent. But bottom line is, you'd be very daft to put somebody in. He'd have to be absolutely, if you're in bottom five, he'd have to be. Now, way he could.
But you put Jez Litton in, no offence to Jez.
Yeah, well, I put Jez Litton in because I think he has been that outstanding. I've got Jez being that outstanding.
I think he's been good, but he's not been top hooker in the league.
I think if Jez played 80 minutes, you'd see a lot of pops.
But he's not. Parcells got ahead of him at some point.
It's not ahead. That's a ridiculous comment. Ahead somebody. They don't say Parcells ahead. They play a reverse game.
Yeah, and so Parcells starts then. So that's
which affects his meterage of getting the 80-minute game, but he still goes loose when he plays it out. Roby used to do it. When this bang, they put him loose. I would have that.
I don't think you can.
I'm saying Warrington and Hull would probably look to be top four and have both underachieved massively. You can see why that happens. Catalans are probably very unlucky, Mick, that, as Joe said, they haven't got anybody in. But they're a top six side. Huddersfield have achieved one. Chris McQueen. So reflectively, like I said, if you're going to be out of that top five, you're going to have to be some player to push. Salford have done best.
3 players.
Yeah. If we're talking Moneyball and like Huddersfield in terms of their position third, and to only have one.
Do we question Liam Farrell? I'll be honest with you. I try and question it, but I can't.
He's very consistent. Very, very consistent.
You look at Pierce Paul, going to be a superstar. No doubt.
But
it's
not,
going to be.
But
it's not as consistent as this lad, is it?
I won't put Pierce Paul as the next in line anyway.
No, I'm saying.
And it's not just about consistency as well, Craig. It's about what you're actually doing out there on the field, that leadership, And
so have they got it right with me? Have they got it? Only thing I'm changing then is I'm looking to get Smithies in at loose, and if I'm going to keep Morgan Knowles, who I love, I might have to scrub Liam Farrell. Based it being it's not his best ever year in my opinion, but he's what a player, what a man, what a player, superstar of the game. But I want Knowles in my team, so I'm going to give Knowles the Liam Farrell shirt. Apologies, Liam Farrell.
Yeah, but you're doing that thing where you pick your argument. You wouldn't Jack Wellsby at half's fine then.
Agreed. Based on my comments, I can't do it, but it's my team and I'm doing it.
Right, just
my argument is that I'm allowed to. It's my opinion.
You're not meant to.
Everybody who comments on this can have their own opinion, their own arguments, their own debates.
But normally you're linear throughout the whole team.
No. It's mine and I'm allowed to do what I want. There you go.
It just makes
so the only things it's not a personal thing. The only thing I've got is I've got Lomax in for Jack Wellsby.
Yeah.
And I've got Smithies in at 13.
Yeah.
And I've got the Leeds lad, Ash Handley,
Yeah.
in for
Tim Lafay.
Ken Seo.
Kensio.
Then if you look at that, I'm probably happy, apart from obviously Joe's debate on whether I put Knowles at back row and I go against what I did before, which is not to do with Dream Team, but I'll leave it as it is, so then there's no debate because it gets boring. So that is my team. So I've changed 4 of them, Michael.
There we go.
Joe, it's on you.
Sorry about Dad there, but I think it's Tim Lafay. I don't think he can make it. I'm putting either Ash.
You can't have either, you've got to have a player.
Ken Seo, sorry, I said Tim Lafay because I think Ken Seo. I'm gonna put Ash Hanley in there. I'll put Ash Hanley. I think it's. God, I feel like
I've got Rick Latelli actually in. At centre.
Well, I was going to say I was going to take out Sean Kenny down, and I was going to put Ricky Latelli in.
Yeah.
I'll take. You know what? I'll be controversial. If I want Callum in there, I'm going to have to take out one of the second rowers, aren't I? So I'm going to take out Liam Farrell for Callum Watkins, but then take out Tim Lafay and put Latelli in. So I'm actually swapping myself for players who have made it. And then I think I've got the Huddersfield hooker in at instead of Roby, sadly, even though he's an absolute legend of the game. No disrespect to Roby. But I've got... Help me out here, my brain's just dissipated on me. The Huddersfield hooker.
Yeah, the number 9.
Yeah.
Nick knows his name.
Levy,
Danny Levi, yeah.
Danny Levi.
I apologise. Yeah, I think I've got him as hooker, and then I'm pretty happy, to be fair.
Michael?
I've only got a couple of changes. I think, no disrespect to Wilkinson Rovers and Shaw Kenny Dowley has come up with some big game match-winning plays. I think his involvement in the comeback game against Toulouse, the offloading, the meters. But how Ricky Latelli is not in this is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Jimmy made a good point about Ash Hanley, and I'm thinking...
I did. Thanks.
No, but back to the stats, Craig, back it up. Yeah. Ash Hanley, pound for pound,
that's
should be in here.
That's why we said get the stats.
Yeah, it should. Based on the stats, statistically, he is the best player in the Super League.
Been unbelievable
in that position. So
he would be devastated.
Yeah, because what more can he do? The stats back it all up. So are we taking Kenseo out and putting Ash in? I think Tim Lafay based on the offloads.
I can Kenseo out straight away.
Yeah, I'm doing that, Craig.
Not against
I'm sorry.
him, but just...
I'm not doing this because it's Leeds or a show me player or whatever. I think we've got to go and we've got to call it for the stats. Statistically, the dream team is all about, to me, who is the best player in that position.
Oh, and obviously I think we both forgot to say the halfback, would take Wellesby out.
Yeah, well...
well, that's 6 changes now, then. I've got
made
6.
A lot of changes.
Yeah, well, I'd do the same, to be fair. I think you've got to keep Brodie in, but... Listen, I like Jack. I like Jack a lot, but... Jai Field, come on. You can't put Wellesby in over Jai Field, so where else do you put him? But you can't leave Lomax out, so... Yeah, I'm sorry, Jack. Your time will come. You're still only young. Lomax for Wellesby. And yeah, I'd pretty much leave it as it is, because we agreed Walmsley and Mikołaj Aledzki pound for pound. Chris McQueen's not
who's our coach, guys? Have you got a coach for the dream team? I've got mine.
You know what? It's a toss-up between 2. But I'm going to say... You haven't named yours yet, Craig.
I've got mine.
Do you want me to go?
I'm going to go first. It's his first coaching job. What a year. I'm giving it to Matty Pete.
Great shout.
I was thinking of Ian Watson, because I do like Ian Watson and what he's done at Huddersfield from coming in. He keeps talking about the process. And you look how Huddersfield Giants have changed in his time there, and they're only getting bigger and stronger, and next year bigger and better things. But I'm saying Matty Pete.
I'm also saying Matty Pete. Yeah.
Oh, we've got 2 for Matty Pete.
I'm strapping with 2. I'm going to give a mention to Rowan Smith of late. Fantastic.
Yeah,
wasn't there all year, as in the form. Matty Pete and Paul Rowley. For me, I've got Matty just coach and assistant Paul Rowley.
There we go.
And a reputable mention for Rowan Smith.
Yeah, Rowan deserves a lot of credit.
Watson
for what
consistently
he has
done well, but I've Rowley for what he's doing is mind-blowing, and the stuff, the football these guys are playing is breathtaking. But without doubt, Matthew, David, Pete, That's not his nickname.
Never
I'll kill
say
it.
that.
Matty, without doubt, has been a revelation. And there goes the show. We've tried our best, guys. I'm sure Mick will tell you, but please get your comments in as many as you can. Pick your dream teams.
Sure, I'm going to be slaughtered a lot.
This so people know, we're not neglecting League One and Champ. We'll do that next week with myself, Joe and Jimmy, and we'll do a Championship and a League One.
Well, that's the dream team done.
Yeah, but that's the dream
Cheers,
team.
guys. We didn't do bad. We agreed on most.
Yeah.
I think we've made 6 changes.
Six
Yeah, we
changes.
made
We've nearly made 50%.
Over to you, fans.
6 changes.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. Do you agree with us? Would you change it? In fact, put in your comments your dream team, and we'll screenshot and read some of those dream teams out next week. But yes, I wouldn't. I think we've made 5. Listen,
6 out of
6. Greg, 6.
That's it. You can't change it now.
No, I'm
Time
not
up.
changing it. I'm just saying 6 changes. It's
not bad.
It's pretty damning of the selectors.
We're done.
We're done. But yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.